Do you need life insurance in retirement? Well, this is a question we get a lot when helping people out with their retirement plans. Sometimes people have it and they don't need it. Sometimes people don't have it and they need it. Today, we're going to walk through some examples of why you would or would not need life insurance in your retirement.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome to another episode of The Retirement Show, all about your life, your money, and your retirement. I'm your host, Scott Searens, and my goal is to help you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. So first, I just wanted to kind of share with you some personal things. This past winter, Christy and myself, we just decided that, hey, we're going to clean out our basement. I mean, it's gathered a few items over the years, more than it probably should have. And so we said, hey, it's cold outside, especially here in Illinois, snowing. So let's spend some time. Let's just go downstairs and clean out the basement. And that's truly what we did, is actually spend some time down there. We would basically go down and take a look at different things that we had in our basement, some that were important. And so we looked at it and we said, hey, we need to keep this around. We need this. It's for whatever. And then I had some old tools, battery powered tools that, for instance, the batteries didn't work anymore. There's no more charger. And you know what? It was a brand that doesn't even exist anymore. So we had these around, but they're not worth anything. We don't need them anymore. They don't bring any value or benefit to us. And so guess what we had to do? Throw it away. And we just kept going item by item. Now, not maybe all the little stuff, right? But we did. We went item by item, just taking a look at what we had in our basement. Should we keep it? Is it important? Are we going to need this in our future? Or we don't need it. It's not important anymore. It may have been when we got it, we used it for something. But at this point in time, it's time to throw it away. We had some cabinets down there that we had kept from an old kitchen or an old bathroom, and we thought, hey, maybe we'll reuse these. So at the point in time that we put it down there, we're like, this is going to be something that we're going to use. But now we're like, what the heck do we have this for? We're not going to reuse this. Things have changed in our lives, and we'd already redid that bathroom or redid parts of the garage where we might have put those cabinets, or we're not planning to finish off our basement. So guess what? While it might have been a good idea at the time to get rid of it. And so we threw it away or got rid of it. So why do I bring this story up? You're probably like, great. Hey, thanks for telling us about your winter plans. But here's why, and here's what it relates to, which is what we're going to talk about today, is do you need life insurance in retirement? And I find a lot of times people that are asking this question already have life insurance. They're approaching retirement or in retirement, and they're wondering if they still need it. And so we're going to go through some things today just to kind of walk you through some examples, through some thoughts. And just like us, just like we were cleaning out our basement, sometimes it's good to go through and clean out your financial plan as well, clean out your retirement plan. Take a look at different things that you have and say, is this still necessary? Should you still be paying the premiums on that life insurance? Or maybe you don't need it anymore. And well, wait a second, why would you not need it? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because a lot of times people just think, well, I've always been told that I need to have life insurance. Or if you have it, right, you might not need it. You could save on premiums, but if you have it, I'm going to guess you might have some emotional ties to it. Just like stuff in our basement. We go down there and we're like, oh gosh, we really want to keep this, or we think that we need to keep this, but reality is, we don't. And we just maybe had some emotional ties to what was down there. And maybe you've got some emotional ties to your life insurance, but you really don't need it anymore. Now, there's also the case, and I realize this doesn't relate to the basement, but you might not have life insurance, but you do need it in retirement. And so again, we're going to walk through different examples. And I understand death can be a very tough subject. And so we're just going to walk through some different examples. We're going to talk about reasons why you may want it and may need to have it in retirement. We're going to talk about why you might not need it in retirement. We're going to try to help you separate emotion versus logic. So that way you can look at your retirement plan and decide, okay, I have this, I still need it. I have this, it's no longer necessary, time to clean out the plan. Or I don't have this, but I need it because somebody that depends on me might really need it in the long run. So that's where we're going to get to. Now, first, I realize that there's some volatility right now in the market. And since there is, I just wanted to spend a few seconds to tell you this. Focus on your investment strategy. Again, focus on your investment strategy and not what you're hearing in the news, not what you're hearing from maybe some sort of celebrity or something like that. And here's a good reason of why not to focus on what some celebrity might be saying. So take a look at this article from US News. And for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, we'll make sure that we put a link to the article in the show notes. Robert Kiyosaki's track record on predicting stock market crashes. So here we go. Robert Kiyosaki, if you have or haven't heard of him, he was the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of we'll say a financial book a little bit. And I've read the book, and actually I thought it was a good book. However, Robert Kiyosaki, who is not an investment advisor, not a financial advisor, he wrote one book that, went very popular in regards to, discussing finances, now thinks that he can predict the stock market. But let's just take a look. And here's the thing. A lot of people out there think they can predict what's going to happen in the stock market, but nobody tracks them. But I thank whomever did this here. The article's by Wayne Duggan, who actually tracked Robert Kiyosaki's predictions. So let's take a look. All right, so if we scroll down here, April 7th, 2011, he tweeted out, "For the educated, an economic crash is the best time to get rich." Guess what? The crashing is not over. So he's saying, hey, crashing's not over. He's trying to scare people, thinking that the crash is still, or there's another crash coming, or something's going to happen. Let's take a look. What happened? In the year following his April 7th tweet, the S&P 500 generated a total positive return of 3.7%. Let's see, while the S&P did drop from a 2011 high of around 1370 to a low of around 1074, it came nowhere close to its 2009 lows of 666. So, and then like I said, the following year, 3.7%. So was Robert Kiyosaki's tweet right or wrong? Well, it was wrong. So let's keep going here. I'm just going to kind of go, over to some different ones. Here's one, September 1st, 2015 tweet. "I've been predicting since 2002 that we would see a stock market crash in 2016. All right. Let's see. Kiyosaki's followers might argue the 2016 market volatility that had dropped the S&P 500 from around 2050 to as low as 1810 is the crash he was predicting, but it was less than 15%. So less than 15% is not even a market crash. And then it says, and then by the end of 2016, the next year, the S&P 500 had generated a 9.5% gain. Now there's one in here. He actually throws in Warren Buffett. He says, April 17th, 2020, crash only beginning. Buffett says, when tide goes out, you see who's been swimming naked. Billions of naked swimmers, sad. Very interesting. So he actually, and we all remember 2020, that's when, a lot of us remember the COVID-19 pandemic. And yes, there was a huge market decline. Guess when he tweeted this? At the bottom of the market decline. So he tweeted more fear at the bottom of the decline. Guess what? In the year following this warning, the S&P 500 gained a staggering 53.4%. Let's just kind of wrap up actually with something more recent here. July 17th, 2023. So last year, I do not play the stock or bond markets as an entrepreneur. I like my hands on control too much, yet too many signs point to a severe stock market crash. July 17th, 2023, that was his tweet. We all know what took place last year, but just in case, here's a reminder. However, that recession never materialized, and the S&P 500 has instead surged to new all-time highs. Specifically, the S&P 500 is up 15.1% since Robert Kiyosaki's warning. The takeaway here, and I like this, I think this is great. Kiyosaki has repeatedly warned investors about catastrophic stock market crashes for at least 13 years now. Yet since his initial warning in April of 2011, the S&P 500 has generated an overall total return of 290%. A lot of volatility in the market right now. There's always volatility in the market. When you look at the days have big ups and downs. But when you look at the months, more what you should look at is the years. History has shown us a positive return over time. So that's why I say focus on your strategy, do not focus on what some, let's just say, celebrity might be saying in regards to the market. A lot of times it's just fear, and they might have ulterior motives. They might have motives to get you to buy into gold or get you to buy into something that they own lots of, because then guess what? It's going to push their values up. So focus on your strategy, which hopefully relates to your income plan when it comes to your investments. All right, so enough on my rant about why not to follow the headlines and the news articles when it comes to investing and just focusing on yourself and your strategy. Let's get into what today's topic is, which is, do you need life insurance in retirement? And today, I'm not talking from a tax planning standpoint. I'm not talking from an estate planning standpoint. What we're just talking to you from a standpoint of is that you've saved up $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. We're somewhere in between zero and all of those numbers. And you're just wondering, do you need life insurance in retirement? You've always been told that you need life insurance, that you should have life insurance. And so you're wondering, should you have it in retirement? Maybe you have a policy and you're wondering, do you still need it in your retirement? Maybe you don't have a policy and you're wondering, do you even need it in retirement? And you know what I find is that sometimes people, companies, I'll say especially salespeople, can really overcomplicate life insurance. And salespeople can do it especially if they're just trying to do what? Sell you something. And so let's just kind of go back to the basics. What is life insurance for? Again, taking out tax planning aspects or the fact that you might have a state tax issue or something like that. That's not what we're focused on today. Just the basics of life insurance for someone that maybe has anywhere from zero to, call it, $5 million. Do you even need it? And so let's talk about that. Well, the basics again. What is life insurance for? And it's really like a safety plan for your family or for your dependents. Well, what is a dependent? Well, just like the word kind of says, it's somebody that depends on you. So it's a safety plan for somebody that depends on you. Well, what do they depend on you for? Well, probably to help live and maintain their lifestyle. Well, what do they need to be able to do that? They need money. So there we go. It's a safety plan that if something were to happen to you and your dependents. Now, dependents could be your spouse, a dependent could be your kids, dependent could be anybody that depends on you. It might be a niece or a nephew that maybe you've always helped out because of whatever. Maybe you've, a dependent, again, it's just somebody that depends on you. And so it's that safety plan that pays out a death benefit to provide money so that way your dependents can continue to maintain their lifestyle, like pay the mortgage or pay their rent or go and get groceries and do what they need to do. But I find that as you approach retirement, sometimes that changes. It becomes different whether or not you would need that safety plan. And a big reason why that changes, and it might not even be at retirement, it could be before retirement, but here's something to think about. Why might that change? Well, as you approach retirement or you're in retirement, you might have a big bucket of retirement savings. And now that retirement savings could now be potentially your new, again, we'll call it like your new safety plan. Could be very similar to it. And so then you have to kind of look at things to go, okay, do I still need life insurance? Do I still need this safety plan in my retirement? And what I want to do is walk through, hey, if you're single, do you need life insurance in retirement? I want to walk through and why yes and why no. If you're a couple, do you need life insurance in retirement? Why yes, why no? And so want to walk through those different things here so that way you can take a look at your situation. And kind of like I was given that analogy earlier that we were cleaning out our basement, I want you to take a look at your retirement plan and understand what do you still need in there. And again, try to separate emotion versus logic. Is this something that maybe you no longer need, could get rid of, stop paying the premiums, and save yourself some money? Let's start with someone who's single. Now, you may not have kids or you may have kids, but I think the question still becomes is you have to ask yourself, do you have anybody that is currently dependent on you? And I'm not talking about, oh, hey mom or hey dad, can I just have a few bucks to get some gas this week? I mean, are they truly dependent on you? Do they count on you for the rent, the mortgage, the groceries, everything? Do they count on your income for that? So you really need to truly ask yourself that question. Are they dependent on you to be able to live and maintain their lives? So let's just say that you didn't have any dependents or anybody that currently depends on you. Well, in that case, then I would say, well, why would you need life insurance? To me, it wouldn't appear that you would need life insurance because nobody needs that safety plan in the event that you were to pass away. And you might be thinking, but I've always heard that I need life insurance. And what about burial costs? Well, think about this. You pass away. Have you saved up some money? And if you looked at what you've saved up, do you think that they'd be able to use that to pay for those burial costs? I mean, I get it. I'm saying all this and death is a very tough subject, but you also have to look at your money and what you've saved and are you spending it wisely or not? Would they be able to take your retirement savings and be able to pay for your burial costs? And granted, they might not get it until beneficiaries are paid out, but I mean, I'm certain that once that's paid out, that if you do have that retirement savings, would they be able to pay those burial costs? Or if that's really what's on your mind, what if you just went ahead and prepaid those burial costs? That's something that a lot of places allow you to do too. So single, nobody that currently depends on you, then I would say maybe you don't need any sort of life insurance. And if you have it, then maybe you can stop paying on it or forfeit or surrender that policy. And I'm going to talk about what that means at the end of the show. So stick around for that. Now, let's say you're single and you do have somebody that depends on you. Maybe it's a child that still depends on you. And so this is where I'm going to pressure you a little bit. Again, what does depends on you mean? I realize that there's a lot of folks out there that have children that do fully depend on them for the everyday living expenses. But there's also, situations where your children are grown now and maybe it's just because you like helping them, but they don't necessarily depend on you. So let's just say you do have somebody that depends on you. Now what you have to do is you have to look at your retirement savings. You have to look at how much you've saved up and say, okay, well, I've saved up $1 million, or I've saved up $500,000, or I've saved up $3 million. If something were to happen to me today, would what I've saved up be a big enough safety net for this person that depends on me, meaning they would also be able to live and maintain their lifestyle and survive off of that, or it's not? So if it is, well, then again, maybe you don't need life insurance. But if it's not, well, then maybe you actually do need life insurance. And because you need to create that safety plan, again, that if something were to happen to you, that death benefit would pay out to give them enough to live off of. Again, just go back to the basics of what life insurance is for, not some emotional gift or anything like that. It's what it's really for is a safety plan that if something were to happen to you, would that dependent, that person who depends on you, be able to live and maintain their lifestyle? Okay, from here, let's move on to couples. And so as a couple, you do have somebody that depends on you. You have your spouse that depends on you and is a dependent. And so it does become a little bit different here, because if one of the two of you were to pass away, you have to look at what income streams would you lose. And based on those income streams that you would lose, again, is there enough in your retirement savings that the person would be able to maintain off of that? And here's why I bring all of this up. All too often, when working with clients and going through their overall retirement plans, and again, cleaning up on their retirement plans when they first come to us, a lot of times they've never put together a net worth statement. Net worth statement means that you put together all of your assets, and then you put your liabilities, and okay, you say assets minus liabilities, that's net worth. But even just putting together the investable assets, monies that can be utilized to spend, pay bills, live your lifestyle, etc., putting together those investable assets, a lot of times people haven't even looked at that. So they're not certain what their number is, how much they've saved up. Yes, people with $1 million, people with $2 million, they're actually not sometimes certain what that number looks like. And I think that once you actually see that number, it helps you visualize that, okay, is this $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 life insurance policy that you got 50 years ago, is it still necessary? Is it actually going to help the person that depends on you if you were to pass away? So again, sometimes putting it all together and cleaning it up is a big help. So as a couple, you need to understand what income sources are you going to lose, and then would your dependent, your spouse, be able to still maintain based on the income sources that are left and the money that you've saved up. Now, here's why this becomes important. Let's just say we've got Bob and Jane here, and we're going to walk through a couple different examples. So Bob and Jane, they've both got Social Security. Let's just say that's their only income sources that are coming in. So Bob's got $3,000 a month. Jane's got $2,000 a month. That's $5,000 a month times 12, $60,000 a year. Now, let's say Bob passes away. Well, you only get to keep one of the two Social Securities. You keep the higher of the two. So they're going to go from $60,000 a year. They would only keep Bob's Social Security, which means now they've got only Jane only has $36,000 a year coming in. If they had nothing saved up, that's a big hit to Jane. That's a $24,000 a year reduction. And if she's got nowhere else to go to get the income, guess what? She's either got to reduce her lifestyle. Well, I guess that's really what she's got to do. She's got to reduce her lifestyle. She's going to have to make a lot of cutbacks. Or a couple other options. One, they have life insurance on Bob's life and Jane's life, right? Because either one of them passes away, that's a $24,000 lifestyle hit. So that's a reason why maybe then they would want to have life insurance in retirement. Now, let's just say Bob and Jane, they were just living off their Social Security, but they had $1 million saved up. Well, now Jane can go to that $1 million to live her life on and do what she needs to do in retirement, and that would support her. So do they need life insurance in retirement then? Well, in that case, because of what they've saved, they no longer need it. So a lot of times when it comes to couples understanding if they need life insurance in retirement, you have to kind of do some what if testing. You have to say, okay, what if Bob passes away? What if Jane passes away? And then based on how much is saved up, would the remaining spouse be okay? And if so, based on what they've saved up, then a lot of times you don't need life insurance in retirement. Now, if not, then you might. And here's another case of where sometimes life insurance might be needed in retirement. And it's a lot of times when one spouse has a pension with like a survivor benefit that's 50% or less. So let's just say Bob and Jane here, right? Same scenario. They had $60,000 of income coming in. Now let's say Bob also had a pension of $4,000 a month. So that's $48,000 a year. Now, if Bob had 100% survivor benefits, that means Jane would continue to get $4,000 a month each and every month. But let's just say, and so again, Bob passes away, just lose the one Social Security. So again, $60,000 a year in Social Security, $48,000 a year in pension. That's $108,000 of income. Bob passes away. And again, if there was a 100% survivor benefits, Jane would have $84,000 of income coming in. They look at what they've saved up. Oh yes, they've saved money up. Might not need life insurance. Now, let's just say Bob took the option of 0% survivor benefits when he claimed his pension, meaning Bob passes away, the $48,000 pension goes away. So now they go from $108,000 a year. They lose one Social Security, that's $24,000. They lose the $48,000 pension. So Jane, who is the remaining spouse here, goes from, when her and Bob both were to, when Bob was around, they had $108,000. Now that it's just Jane, $36,000 a year coming in of income. Now they might look at what they've saved up and say, wow, that's a huge hit if Jane wants to continue to maintain her lifestyle. So guess what? Jane should probably get some life insurance because maybe they don't have enough saved up, or they look at what they've saved up and it is enough. Hopefully you're getting the point here. I feel pretty repetitive in what I'm saying, but for couples approaching retirement or in retirement, you look at two different things. What type of income are you going to lose? And then you look at your retirement savings. Do you have enough retirement savings to replace the income that would be lost? If you do, then most likely you don't need life insurance in your retirement. If you don't, then you might need life insurance in retirement. So how do you know? How would you even figure this out? Well, how we help our clients figure this out is first off by putting together an income plan. An income plan is going to look at all your sources of income in your retirement. It's going to look at when you're going to start those different sources, what those different sources will be, how much they will be. If one person passes away, how much of that income source will go away, just like the pension example here. And then after looking and putting together the income plan, we're going to start to do some what if risk management planning, meaning what if one spouse were to pass away at this age? What if the other spouse were to pass away? What if at all different ages? And if we can do that what if planning and we see that based on your retirement savings, everything would still be okay, then you don't necessarily need life insurance in retirement. Now, if we do that what if planning and we're like, well, you know what, because of the loss of the pension or because of the cut in Social Security and what you have saved up, I don't know that's going to, replace everything, then you might have to start making decisions. You're going to have to maybe start making decisions to say, okay, are you okay with reducing your lifestyle? Or do you want to go get life insurance? That way, if something does happen, again, it replaces those income needs. So hopefully this has just kind of helped you think. I know I was really repetitive there, but a lot of it's based on your retirement savings. And I find that sometimes people haven't necessarily looked at and thought about that number. And when I show it to them and they look at this insurance policy that they got years and years and years ago for $50,000 or $100,000 that they're still paying on. And they're like, well, wait a second. Either one of us would be able to survive based off of what we've saved up. Why are we still paying on this? Again, it's just like cleaning out the basement. It sits down there forever until you actually pick it up and go, is this still necessary? We're never going to use this. Let's get rid of it. Let's clean things up a little bit. Now, let's just say you do decide to clean up your retirement plan. You do decide that, you know what, maybe we don't need this life insurance anymore. Well, what are some possibilities with that? Well, it all depends on what type of policy you have. Like, for instance, term insurance, you're just going to call the company and say that, hey, you want to cancel the insurance and stop paying the premiums. Maybe you've got some sort of whole life or universal insurance, something that, let's just say, has built up some sort of cash value to it. Well, what you can do is you can surrender the policy, which means cancel it, and take that cash value. They're going to pay out that cash value. Now, be aware, there's some tax planning that you need to understand when you're going to take the cash value from a policy, depending on how much cash value it has on it. So that's one thing. Now, every policy is different, and you want to make sure that you talk to a financial professional as well as your insurance company. Sometimes what you can do is you can convert your current policy, say, I don't want to pay the premiums anymore, and they'll give you a certain amount of term insurance based on how much cash value is built up in that policy. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll give you what they call as a reduced but paid up policy. Meaning, let's just say you had a death benefit for $100,000 and you're like, I don't want to pay these premiums anymore. I don't need the life insurance. But for me, it's just I don't want to pay the premiums anymore. Well, a lot of times then what you can do is get reduced paid up. They might take that $100,000. I'm just really making stuff up today. Again, you have to go to your company and your policy. They'll say, okay, we'll give you a $40,000 death benefit, but you no longer have to make premium payments any longer. So basically, you're keeping the life insurance, but no longer making the premium payments on it. So I hope this really helps you take a look at your life, your retirement plan. Get that question a lot. A lot of times it's from people that already have life insurance and they're paying premiums on it still. They already know the answer, but they're just emotionally tied to the life insurance. But they already know the answer because they know what they've saved up. They've saved up $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. They know that the other person, their dependent, will be okay if they were to pass away based on what they've saved up. And sometimes it's just taking a look at the numbers to go, oh, everything will be okay. We no longer need this anymore. So we're going to stop paying on this and cancel our policy. But I get it. There's like some emotions that are really tied in there, especially if you've paid into it for years. So hopefully this helps just take a look at your plan, your policies, and understand, is it right for you? Because I'm telling you, sometimes there's folks out there that have been paying lots and lots of money in premiums when they don't necessarily need that life insurance policy anymore. But as I had said, if you have dependents, people that are depending on your income, and you don't have enough saved up, or it's going to be too drastic of an income loss for them to be able to maintain their lifestyle, then maybe you still do need life insurance in retirement. But make sure that you have enough, because I find sometimes a lot of these old policies that you may have gotten 20 or 30 or 40 years ago wouldn't probably make up for the loss and wouldn't actually replace the loss. So then you have to do a whole nother aspect, which is to make sure that you have enough protection in place. So hopefully this helps you take a look at things. Our goal is to help you maximize your retirement story. And so hopefully this is guiding you down the path of doing that. Hey, if you've enjoyed today's show, don't forget, subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there, as we're coming out with new videos each and every week on retirement topics like Social Security, investing, reducing the taxes on your IRAs and 401ks. And if you want to see additional videos on topics just like those, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and have a great day.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Sierens Financial Management, Inc. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Sierens Financial Management, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.
Scott Sierens Financial Group, and AE Wealth Management, LLC are not affiliated with the Wall Street Journal, Fidelity Investments, Charles Schwab, or the New York Times.